Hello and welcome to my presentation about why you should be pear decking if you are not already. I am a Pear Deck master and I've been using Pear Deck for quite some time now. Um, there are many pluses for using Pear Deck. I don't really have any negatives other than, yeah, it adds a little bit of time to your prep. However, the time saved on the back end is completely worth it. If you are tired of begging students to be engaged with your lessons in person and virtually, this eliminates all those issues. The plus side for the students is that it holds them a little more accountable because they know that you're looking to see what they're doing throughout the lesson. You can use your already made slides that you're using through Google Slides, or they also have some templates. Sometimes I'll throw in one of their slides, but typically I just use my own slides. My daily mission is to get all students engaged because, especially learning a language, if they're not actively engaged, it's going to be very difficult for them to master concepts, as you guys know. Um, but Pear Deck can be used for your larger classes or your in-person classes, especially now with the shields and everybody's far, but also in a virtual setting through Zoom or asynchronously. There are two ways to run lessons. Asynchronously is through the student pace activity, and you can post that directly to Google Classroom, and then you have your instructor paced, which is what you'll be doing if you're doing synchronous teaching. There are several question types that you can add into your slides. You have your text, which are your open-ended responses, choice, multiple choice questions, number, just a number response only, and you're going to get to see all these different types minus the website, but you will see the website in the presentation that you get, and that's how you are watching this video. The drawing, my students love to draw because they feel like they're coloring instead of learning, and then the draggable activities. Here is an example of a text question. So we were reading about the Grito de Dolores, which is Mexican Independence Day. And I had a text question. Who were the people mentioned in the grito? Answer in English, so I knew that they comprehended it. This is the answer slide that I would put at the after they answered it for an asynchronous activity so they could check their work. But here are my students' answers as we are going through this synchronously. You can see this is a grid view right here. And you can also make these bigger and give them feedback if you click this text bubble right here. I have the arrow pointed to the star because that's important. If you want to project these, they project anonymously. So you just click the star for the ones you want to respond or you want to show on the screen. Excuse me, sorry. Um, and then you leave the ones that you don't want to show unstarred, I guess. Um, and then you can talk about good answers. You can make a learning opportunity for an answer that's wrong, but you see it as a common mistake throughout the answers. This is an example of a multiple choice question. So I had this slide right here, and then the question was, what are they doing? What are they talking about? And the answer was introducing themselves. It looks like all my students got this correct, but it's easy to see, do you have most of them getting it correct, half, or none of them are understanding? And this is a level 1 class, so this is very basic, but you can use this for your higher level classes as well, and I do use it with my AP. Here is a number slide. This was going through a school supply list in an authentic resource, and it was how many of a certain supply do they need. Clearly, I had one student that either was trying to be funny or completely did not understand. Some that were a little confused. This is about the 200 range, and the answer was 2. And again, you can see it down here where I have the answer for my asynchronous students, but it also allows me to hold myself accountable to explain the answer for those that didn't understand it. Because while most of mine did, and you can see right here, I had a few that didn't. Next, this is my students' favorite. While this is not the prime example, because usually I have them drawing out stories, I pulled an example from a very beginning class. No me gusta el color amarillo. I don't like the color yellow. And you can see that most of these, this one was starting to draw their X. They understood and they got the concept, and it's super easy for you to be able to see this. We were also practicing me encanta, I love, and so X with the heart, so I don't love the yellow is what the student had here. It's really fun, and my students like to have coloring contests to see whose drawing is going to be posted on Twitter, because I make these where they can just see the individual pictures. And again, I really like the starring of the pictures in case there's something that you really just don't want to have on your screen. You can eliminate that by just starring the ones you want to show. Draggable. This is a draggable for a question, and it's just one answer. Hola, me llamo Carlitos y soy bajo. My name is Carlitos and I am short. It's super nice to see quickly who's understanding it and who's not. I'm not sure if you can see this down here, but it says 18 out of 20 responded. If you scroll down on your teacher screen a little bit, it shows you who didn't answer. So you know who's not participating. And if you're a virtual teacher, you know that that's really frustrating when students leave their Zooms on and they disappear. But this stays and you have access to this. So you can always have documentation if a parent is calling you like, hey, why is my kid's grade so low? Well, your student only interacted with 2 of the 20 slides on our lesson today, and I messaged them, etc. But you have some documentation for you, as well as you can tell if a student's really trying. On the positive side, if they're trying and they're working hard, what exactly are they not seeing? Because this is a layered response, you can see right here, but you can do this individually or in those grids. And I'm going to show you this in a different format of answer and question. So this was a question that they had to draw or move a certain colored dot over a vocabulary word, and in this box it has what color and the vocabulary word over the picture. So I can easily see that this student was confused. Just because the colors, it's only 3, it's super fast. I can see that this person was working very slowly and not putting forth a lot of effort. But I like the grid view on this because then I can see where people are and if I need to adjust any situations. And again, you can send feedback without calling them out. And so it's private through the chat. Here's what some of my students say about Pear Deck. Basically, they like it. It's really easy to learn on, and it's actually kind of fun. You should use Pear Deck because you really don't feel like you are learning because you're having so much fun. It also gives you a chance to learn and answer questions privately. They also have some very cool features on Pear Deck, like you can play games and it's a lot of fun. That is the Vocabulary Factory. You can watch videos on that on the YouTube channel. I don't have that here, but if you look at my Twitter, it's probably been a couple weeks since we played it, but it's so much fun and it sends everything to GimKit. So then at the end of the vocab building activity and teacher talk, you can then play a game with it. We had so much fun that day. It's just easy to use and interact with. That is key right now. It's easy. It's easy for you. It's easy for the students. It makes learning more fun and engaging. Most of the time, I don't realize that I'm learning new words until my teacher tells me. One day I had them read a story, and at the end, they're like, we want to keep coloring. And the whole class was yelling at me that they wanted to keep coloring. And I was like, guys, the story's over. They're like, what story? Oh my gosh, we did read a story. And then they retold me the story. So it was wonderful. And huge confidence builder when they're having so much fun they don't realize they're learning, and it kind of takes that anxiety away of learning a new language, especially for our virtual learners because they're not getting that feedback from us like they would in a classroom. I think that teachers should use Pear Deck because it keeps me very engaged and helps me improve on my understanding while having fun. There's different ways you can use Pear Deck, and you'll be able to read the rest of this because it's clearly getting covered up, but on the slides that you'll get in just a second. Here's some data. I gave these reasons why, and I asked my students to check why they like it. Everybody chose something. I have confidence to participate without being embarrassed if I don't understand. 70% of them said that. That's huge. It keeps me engaged. 87% of my students like using Pear Deck because it makes them be engaged with the lesson. I look at the Pear Deck takeaways. That's a whole nother lesson, but you guys can basically send your students receipts at the end of a lesson. When you close it, it'll ask if you want to post the takeaways, and I post them as material in my Google Classroom. And the students can only, when they click on it, it only opens their personal file, but it has your presentation, and on the right side, it has what they did and what their interactions were. And at the bottom, it has room for notes if they're going to go back over it and review. The parents really like learning with their students, and it lets them see how their student is interacting in class. And then the bottom one, it is fun, and sometimes I don't realize I'm learning. 90% of them said that. That's huge. That means that we are bringing some joy to our students at this time of year or this school year where there's not a lot of joy sometimes. So they really like coming in. And the other day, I didn't have a Pear Deck for them, and they were so bummed. I almost felt guilty because I didn't have a Pear Deck prepared for them. And it was the first time in over a month they hadn't gotten one. And I was like, oh, I thought maybe they were getting tired of them, but clearly they're not. So I really, really suggest that you give this a try. On the Pear Deck web or YouTube page, they have these are their playlists. So if you want to look at any of these videos, most of them are pretty fast. So you're not going to be stuck in a 30-minute tutorial, and they give you what you need, and you can start off basic and build your skills pretty fast. I hope this has been informative, and I hope you enjoy pear decking.